Good evening, adventurers, and welcome back to the maze. Sorry it's been a minute since our last podcast, episode 22. This is episode 23. We've been busy. If you've been keeping up with us on the socials, you know that I actually traveled back home to Virginia to visit with the apprentice Stephen, who is with me as always,
Hmm.
and his family. And we attended GalaxyCon, which we will talk about in just a minute. But we're glad to have you all here with us tonight. We've got a lot to talk about, so let's just jump right into things. Let's start with the GalaxyCon recap. Um, Big convention held at the Greater Richmond Convention Center, downtown Richmond. Last year's numbers, they boasted 22,000. I think they probably hit that, or maybe just a little bit more this year, just from the crowds that we saw when we went on Saturday.
Hmm.
Big convention, spread out over two floors. But I will say this: if you are going looking for like TTRPGs, like a lot of diversity in board games, card games, things like that, this may not be the convention for you. This convention seems to be more tailored towards cosplay, anime,
Hmm.
and kind of the whole demographic that revolves around going and seeing people who are voice actors, artists, or actors for television shows, sci-fi, fantasy shows, things like that. I know that when we went, Steven's girlfriend tagged along with us,
Hmm.
and she went to a Gilmore Girls Q&A.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, if that's your thing, then GalaxyCon's definitely for you. Check it out. Not something that I think that I would do again, just because it doesn't feel like it has the vibe that I'm looking for in a convention. We went over to the bottom floor of the Marriott where they were supposed to have the TTRPG room. We saw lots of banners, lots of flags where Paizo was hosting the TTRPG.
Hmm.
Um, they're kind of the panels and things like that at the convention. We did see where they had some games set up, some like introductory level games with some pre-printed characters and stuff to kind of get people into Pathfinder, which I think is great. Definitely kudos to them for doing that and for hosting. But right across the hall was supposed to be the D&D room, with maybe a third of the amount of tables of what was in the Paizo room. And when I went in there was only one table that was actively doing anything, and they were actually playing Pathfinder. So
Hmm.
I did not see any D&D games at all in the D&D room. So
Yeah.
as a as somebody who's a longtime player of Dungeons and Dragons and loves to kind of get it out there, it was a shame to not see somebody there playing. Maybe something was scheduled later in the day. I don't know. We got there around 1:30, I think, and didn't see anybody playing. So
Yeah.
definitely not something that I personally would do again. What were your thoughts, Steve?
I think it's pretty telling of kind of just where culture is in general. I think,
Mm-hmm.
Dad and I were kind of talking about this. I feel like him and I are not the target demographic for a lot of these kind of conventions anymore. Um,
Right.
I mean, I remember years and years ago, every time you'd go to anything, there was Star Wars stuff, Dungeons and Dragons stuff, all the stuff that you're kind of accustomed to, and you just kind of assume you're going to see at one of these.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been to a convention in going on probably 10, 15 years. This was a totally different demographic, a totally different vibe. And I went to this convention. This is the same convention I went to 10 years ago. It's not different,
Mm-hmm.
So I think it just kind of goes to show that times change, people change, what's popular
Mm-hmm.
changes, and that's okay. I don't think I'm not blaming the convention. I'm not blaming anybody involved with it.
Yeah.
It's just this convention is for a different uh, hobby set than I have. It's
Right.
not that I don't like anime at all. I like some anime, and everything else I'm into is kind of the typical stuff that we talk about. So I think if you're in the area and you're into anything that we kind of spoke about, it's kind of a no-brainer for you to go. Some of the cosplays were really cool. I saw like a 10 foot tall Transformer. He was awesome. Um,
Yeah. The Megatron,
yeah, he
the
was he was
T-Rex
sick.
Megatron, he
Yeah,
was
he was
awesome.
really
Yeah.
cool. I got some pictures. I'll go through them and try to find some that I took that are worth sharing. But um, I kind of echo what Dad already said. I will say though, um, you gave a shout out to Paizo, and they did a great job. I mean, they had a whole room at the hotel next door where they were
Mm-hmm.
playing. They were hosting games. They were playing the old D&D cartoon on TV, which I thought was funny in the Paizo
I
room.
thought that was awesome. Yeah.
Um, they had Starfinder tables, Pathfinder tables. They had a couple merch tables in there. They had info books you could just pick up and read about Pathfinder if you were new. all that stuff, and then like Dad said, the D&D room is next door. I'm not even mad that they weren't playing D&D, because whatever. I mean, the guy, he's probably there, and like if they say they want to play Pathfinder, you're just gonna tell him no. Like, I mean, he's probably
Yeah.
gonna play whatever they ask. But
Yeah.
like Paizo had banners, and they had tables out with all this merch and swag on it, all this stuff, and the
Mhm.
D&D room looked like a janitor's closet. There
Yeah.
was no books, no merch,
Nothing.
no
Just a few
posters.
tables.
You would walk right by that room and think it was the employees on a lunch break.
Yeah.
And I know this event wasn't sponsored by WotC. It was sponsored, or a partial sponsor was Paizo. But like, all I kept thinking was like, man, like this is pathetic. Like this is
Yeah.
ridiculous that this empty room is the D&D like representation that's at this convention.
Yeah.
My dad wearing a D&D shirt did a better job at promoting D&D at that convention than WotC did. So honestly, it kind of made me frustrated. It kind of made me. I was actually kind of like I remember that night we got home after we got some like really good barbecue that afternoon, and we went home, and Maddie was like, "So your dad likes a game that nobody else likes?" Like that was her takeaway. That is the casual fans' takeaway, is that me and my dad every Saturday are playing a game that nobody gives a shit about. And that
Yeah.
made me angry, because it's like there's a lot of people out there that love this game, and like you're letting Paizo one up you at this convention of 30,000 people. Like, you look irrelevant.
Yeah.
I don't know, and I'm not trying to like shit talk or anything, but like it just
Right.
made me feel bad, because I'm like, damn, dude,
Yeah.
like that's such a dropped ball there. Like, that is crazy.
Yeah. There's definitely potential there, and maybe it's not on WotC's radar because it's not a big game convention. You know, when you think TTRPGs and sitting down at a table with other people in gaming, you think of Origins, you think of Gen Con, you think of GaryCon, which just happened this past weekend. Those are your big game cons where
It,
basically people just sit down and they play TTRPGs.
and
You
honestly,
don't get
like,
on.
that
Yeah,
sounds great. I love that, and I think what I learned from this convention is that you and I are going to be trying to go to GaryCon next year.
absolutely.
If
Yeah.
I took anything out of this, it's that we have to go do that now.
I've already
But
got 3 people that have reached out to me through Instagram and said, "Look, if you go to GaryCon next year, I will make sure that I'm there." It's some of the older players. They want to
mhm,
meet us. They want to, sit down with us and talk. Maybe, talk shop. Maybe
mhm.
even have some interviews with them.
Yeah.
But they want to sit down and play some TTRPGs with
Yeah, I mean,
us. I think that's
I
great.
think, I told Madison about like the convention that's kind of geared towards what we're doing. She's like, "Well, y'all should go. You should, of course, you
Yeah,
should go." And I was kind of like, "You're
absolutely.
right." Like we went to
Yeah,
this, and but I'll leave the point here is that I don't know. I don't want to sound angry, but I feel like if Paizo, if this convention of 30,000 people isn't under Paizo's radar, how long can you be ignorant of that if you're WotC? Like, if you just give them all these little conventions, I say little. This is 30,000 people. It's
yeah.
not
It's
like,
nothing to sneeze at.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's not insanely large. It's not a Dragon Con. It's not any of that. But at the same time, like, you cannot just let these companies swoop in and take these for free over and over and over again. And then when people move on to a different game system, do the Pikachu face and look around and go, "Where's everybody?" Like, you have
yeah.
to do something. Um,
Agreed.
so we're
And
gonna
I
get
put
into
together.
kind of a recurring segment later about this. Kind of, for me, it kind of sparked this like this idea for a segment that we're gonna do. But we'll
Right.
talk about that at the
And,
end.
and I will add the addendum that you can't put all this into WotC's basket.
Oh, sure, sure, sure.
Um, if you're going to boast on your website and on your map on the book that they handed out
Hmm.
that you have a D&D room, it seems to me as a convention organizer,
You
you
should do
should make sure
something.
you have people who are running D&D games.
Yeah.
Reach out to local game stores, reach out to your local chapters of your Adventurers League for Hasbro, and find people who are willing to, in exchange for maybe a free pass, would come out and run D&D games, exhibit the game, talk about the game, get new people into it.
I
So opportunity missed, and there's definitely some room there for growth
Oh, I
there.
mean, I think the convention failed, at least in that regard, of just like making sure there's accurate representation. And I think if anyone, I don't, well, again, missed opportunity in general. You can blame whoever you'd like, but I'll tell
Yeah,
you, if you would have paid for me and my dad's hotel room, and you would have said, "We'll pay for your hotel, we'll pay for your ticket to come here," we would have done a better job, the two of us, with the resources we have representing D&D there. We would have. I know we would have. So anyway, that was kind of heartbreaking
So
to see.
if you're
Hopefully,
listening, GalaxyCon,
oh dude, yeah.
hours behind GalaxyCon, reach out to us.
If
We've
you
got
want
all
us to
those
come
tickets.
back, I'm telling you right now, like we would do a better job. We would have merch
I
out.
would
We would
I
have,
would do it. I would do it for the love of the game
yeah.
and for the love of the community.
Dude, don't even
Definitely.
just like. I mean, for me, it's for us leaving from where we left. It was about an hour drive. It's into the city, which is tough. If you buy my hotel for one night, me and my dad would even share a room. Just get our tickets, put us in the Marriott next door. We would run that room for you, free of charge. You don't have to buy nothing. You don't have to buy our lunch, anything. We'll do it.
Yeah,
Because,
100%.
like I said, you know, the takeaway from a casual perspective was, man, you and your dad like a dead game. And it's like, this
Yeah.
is the biggest TTRPG in the world, and people don't even, like, these casual fans that are going to this, especially these fans that are not TTRPG natives anyway, their takeaway is that
Right.
that game's dead as shit, and they need to play something else.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah.
moving on. I'll let it go.
Speaking of D&D games, we've talked on that long enough. Speaking of some D&D games, our Kingdom of Keshinar recap is up. We've got that up right now for you guys to read over on our website. We'll have a link down in the show notes.
Mm-hmm.
I am completing the second half of that recap because there was a lot of role play and a lot of political intrigue in this last session that we had on the 13th. Our next session is this coming Friday, the 27th. So we will have more photos and things up for you guys to look forward to. The Order of the Flagon, we've kind of run into some scheduling conflicts again. We played last Monday, a week ago this past Monday, we played, and we do have the recap up over on the website for you guys. Second half of that will be coming out as well. But I do have the first half of the recap up for you guys. We have the guys are running, like I said, running into some scheduling conflicts. One of our four players has left the country for 2 weeks with his family. He does not return until April 6th, so we are trying to get something on the books for that week, probably either Friday or Saturday after he returns. So we'll keep you posted there. But check out the recap that's on the website now. Also, the Master and Apprentice session 8, part number 1, is out on the website, written by our own apprentice from the perspective of his character Aldor.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be finishing up part 2 of that recap for you guys, where they have gone into Icewind Dale in search of a long lost blood heir to a throne.
Mm-hmm.
So check those out. That's over on our website, over on mastersmaze.com. Let's jump into some TTRPG news. We mentioned GaryCon earlier.
Mm-hmm.
GaryCon, it's been on my radar for a couple of years. I wanted to go this year, but unfortunately, scheduling didn't work out. So unfortunately, Stephen was not available. One other person that said that they wanted to go wound up backing out on me as tickets became available. So that to me just said things weren't meant to be, so I kind of let it fall to the wayside. I wish now I had gone. A lot happened at GaryCon, including the Lifetime Achievement Award for contributions to TTRPGs being given to Mr. Ed Greenwood. Very richly deserved, I think, for him creating the most wonderful playground that I have ever played in and have spent over 40 years of my life in. So I absolutely love the Forgotten Realms setting. I've never led people to believe otherwise. If you've listened to any of these podcasts, you've probably heard me go on and on about the Forgotten Realms, so I won't do that here. They also announced at GaryCon, well, actually just prior to GaryCon, that WoTC had basically reached out to Gary Gygax's son, Luke, who is the organizer of GaryCon. And there is an agreement between WoTC's Dan Ayub and Luke for him to write a source book for Greyhawk. I know there has been some scuttlebutt flying around that Greyhawk was going to make a comeback. We didn't know what form it was going to take, but it looks like right now it's going to be a source book penned by Luke himself. I'm certain that he will be going back to his father's source material for inspiration. Luke, if you don't know, played the character Melf, the elven ranger who some spells are named after, including Melf's acid arrow. So I think it's in good hands, and I think the fact that WoTC has finally reached out to the Gygax family and are trying to mend that fence, long overdue, especially after the way WoTC kind of crapped all over the Gygax name and the people who contributed so much to the games that we love in the forward to their 50th anniversary book. But I'm not going to go into that here. Trying not to be negative about WoTC. So I think it's a good thing they reached out to Luke. Luke
Mm-hmm.
did put up he did kind of have a round table, kind of a Q&A session where he talked about it a little bit, about his meeting with Dan. Dan flew into town, took him and his wife out to dinner. They talked about things about mending the fence and wanting to apologize for the way that WoTC has treated the Gygax family and the Gygax legacy. So if it's good enough for Luke to accept his apology, it's good enough for me.
Hmm.
So we'll see how that works out in the future, because
Yeah.
we all know when it comes to WoTC, I am a basically show me state kind of guy. So
Yeah, I mean, not for nothing. I mean, I think Dan Ayub's done a lot in the last year, and I mean, we were, I don't know, I don't want to say we were critics, but we were skeptical at the very least when we heard the
mhm.
news that he was taking over. And most of what I've heard that has his name tied to it has been something that I've been like, oh, that's good. So not for nothing. I mean, normally we are skeptical and we're kind of these jaded guys when it comes to a lot of this stuff, but I feel like he's done some pretty good things, and this is obviously one of the good things. So
Yeah, yeah, we'll see how it turns out. But Stephen, you had some information here about some Pathfinder 2E.
yeah,
They had some spring errata released just recently.
yeah. There's I'll kind of blow through the next two just because they were on my radar, and I don't want to take up too much time. But there's Pathfinder and Daggerheart releases. Um, Spring Errata is releasing. I guess actually it has released. These notes
March
came out
17th, yep.
before this last busy weekend we had. But Paizo has published a pretty large update targeting Player Core 2 and several core mechanics. There's major adjustments to the Alchemist, Oracles, and Swashbuckler multi-class options. Big rules revision for weaknesses, resistances, immunities, and changing how often they trigger. Which, in my opinion, anything that can make Pathfinder's combat, or like just kind of the math that's associated with the things that are happening, easier or more fluid is probably a good thing. I think
Yeah, definitely.
Pathfinder's it's a hardcore version of D&D in my opinion. It's for people that are veterans of TTRPGs, and
Yeah.
I think there's a place for games that are a little bit harder to get into, but maybe when you can get rid of some of that rudimentary stuff where it's just like this is hard for the sake of being hard, why not remove it, or at least
Right.
tweak it or change it.
Right.
Just the early things that I've seen, I use Bell of Lost Souls website. If you haven't gone on that website, it's fantastic. It's a
It is
great
a great site.
resource. And I read through a lot of that stuff, some comments there, and all through the internet. This seems like a really good release for Pathfinder, so that's great. If you're into Pathfinder, check that out. Another big one, Daggerheart's first third-party. I guess I don't want to say maybe it's not the first, but it's the first big one. It's the first major
Right.
third-party book called
Yeah.
Demonheart. That is out March 16th. Um, Sorry, the Kickstarter's April 21st. They announced it on the 16th.
Right.
It's from what it seems like, it's kind of the first big expansion into like a hell ecosystem and kind of a
Right.
hellish plane system in Daggerheart, which I've been saying from the beginning. I like Daggerheart. I like a lot of the races and kind of the fun take on things, but at the same time, it lacked kind of like this. You want some form of like pure evil in your fantasy realm, right? And without it,
Mhm.
it kind of felt. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to say lacking, but it just felt like it was missing something. And if we
Right.
can have a awesome hell themed setting with devils and super powerful beings that are just like pure evil, I think it's gonna add something fun, even if it's just kind of a plot device or a pit stop in your campaign for Daggerheart. This book is already on people's radar, and people are saying they love it. The art is incredible. I'll drop some of the art and some of the info and the link in the description below. But if you're into Daggerheart, if you're having a Daggerheart game right now, or you're looking to get into it, April 21st is Kickstarter launches, and I think a lot of people are going to be on board. So check it out.
Am I reading this correctly? 63
Yep.
sin-based subclasses?
Yeah, this book's huge.
That seems really, really heavy to me.
Huge.
I mean, people already complain about D&D with all the subclasses they have, but for one book to put out 63 new subclasses, that is
That's a lot. Yeah,
quite an undertaking.
and I think it's going to be one of those things that we've talked about before. Where kind of just either get the book or read through the book, however you choose to. I never,
Mhm.
I will never say that you should pirate books, but
Right.
however you want to get the material is fine. But take what you want out of this source material and move on. Right? It doesn't,
Yep.
you can kind of take this like these five subclasses are really fun. I think the game needs those. I'm going to take those myself, and my players can use these. Just
Yep.
kind of use whatever you want. It's your kitchen, so kind of figure it out yourself. But I will say I do like that it's adding a hellish theme.
Yeah.
I just think
Definitely.
that the game needs that. I think the first release that they're doing, their first official expansion adds a lot more kind of pure evil and allows you to play as a vampire and stuff. I think that was kind of like what made me feel like, oh, like now the game is like fully fleshed out and things are
Right.
getting a little bit more interesting for me. So
I think it's definitely got potential, so I'll definitely check it out when it
Hmm.
comes out. You were pretty impressed, jumping into some Kickstarter and Backerkit
Hmm.
news. You were really impressed with Blades 68.
Yeah, so I'll be totally transparent. I saw this backer kit online. I was not familiar with Blades in the Dark at all. When I saw this module, I saw the art, and I'll include some art. And
Mhm.
I saw some of the pages in the preview PDF for the new source book, and I was
Right.
like, I don't know what Blades 68 is, but this looks super cool. It is like a cyber. Well, the what I came to learn is Blades in the Dark is kind of a cyberpunk crime, like criminal underbelly, occult setting.
Right.
That it takes place in a futuristic dystopian setting called Doskvol, which is like a super city, and it just looks super interesting. But my foray into that setting was Blade 68. So I started looking into this, and I'm like, oh my god, is this like a module for 5e? What is this? Like, is this a whole new
Right.
thing? That's how I learned about Blades. But Blade 68 is a basically the same game in the same setting, but takes place in 68, 1968. So it's kind of got like this retro vibe. They've reworked some of the classes to fit in that narrative. So like the Hound has gone from like this sharpshooter style guy to like a detective. You know, he looks like kind of like a noir detective that looks really cool. So they've reworked kind of the underlying game mechanics and classes to be like, in my head it just screams like steampunk detective noir, like, you know, just like this
Yeah.
cool aesthetic that I love. um I just, like I said, I'll put a picture of the front of the Kickstarter book that I've seen. It's just such a cool vibe and setting that it seems like they're shooting for. This is backed by Evil Hat, who makes the Blades in the Dark game, so this is not like a third party fan project. This is a legitimate module for the game. Um, I was talking to Dad before this podcast. Again, this kind of introduced me to Blades in the Dark. I didn't really have much info about it, so when I saw this, I really started digging into it.
Mhm.
This is probably the most unanimously loved TTRPG I think I've ever seen. There's nobody online when looking through Reddit, TTRPG websites, Discords, all the stuff that I've been looking at. Everyone is like, either they love the game, they're obsessed with it, and they stop playing other games, or at the very least, they played this game and they're like, hey, I think it's really great. It's just not for me because of X, Y, or Z. But
Right.
nobody's like, this game sucks. I don't like the systems. I don't like this. I don't like that. Like, everyone has nothing but good things to say, which has probably
Yeah.
never been the case in terms of
Yeah.
TTRPGs for me. So I'm excited. I've actually picked up the Blades in the Dark source book, just to read through it, and then when 68, I've backed 68 as well,
Yeah.
because I just
Good
think
stuff.
it looks way too cool. So.
Good stuff. Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about Blades in the Dark, and I've been meaning to pick up a copy of it myself. I just got to get around to it. So,
Hmm.
but let's talk about another Kickstarter that caught my eye. I
Hmm.
actually saw this when doom scrolling on Facebook a few weeks ago. Zanric's Guide to Mythic Metals, which is going to be a 5e supplement geared around crafting. So basically, this book is going to delve specifically into mining, procuring mythic types of metals, and then crafting them into legendary weapons and gear, and then dealing with the consequences of your actions. So they don't have a launch date yet. It just says launching soon. I've reached out to the content creator and have not heard back from him yet. I just sent him an email a couple days ago, so I'm waiting to hear back. See if we can get some more information. Maybe get some details from him that we can share with you guys, or maybe some art that'll be forthcoming. But it looks interesting to me. And crafting is something that I felt has always been kind of a little on the thin side when it comes to D&D 5e. And I almost always have players at my table asking me, "Hey, I want to craft herbs. I want to craft poultices." In our Master and Apprentice game, Steven's character Aldor is kind of a battlefield control rogue,
Yeah.
and he's always wanted to kind of craft like poisons and smoke and
Hmm.
things like that to kind of help control the battlefield for his friends. And he's always asking me for more and more information. I'm having to go to online resources that aren't necessarily geared for 5e and kind of convert those things over. So,
Hmm.
having any resource that will allow me to um, basically have that information at my fingertips for my players is always a great resource for me as a DM. So,
Hmm.
um, let's talk about some movies and games. Well, actually,
Hmm.
just games in this case. We have no movies to talk about right now.
Yeah.
But let's talk about games. And the one that's on everybody's lips right now seems to be Crimson Desert.
Crimson Desert.
Stephen, take it away,
So
buddy.
I've played about probably, let's call it 50 to 100 hours of Black Desert Online, which is Pearl Abyss's previous game. It's an MMO. Um, it is definitely an MMO. You got the quests of, oh, go to this town and give him a horse, and then go back to this town and tell that guy you gave that guy a horse. It's definitely got
Right.
that MMO stuff to it. However, what kept people coming back to Black Desert, and still does, is the combat in that game was fantastic. It
Okay.
was the best MMO combat possibly ever, maybe second to Lost Ark, and that's probably it.
Okay.
So they've been working on Crimson Desert. I remember hearing about Crimson Desert years ago, and the game's finally out. I will
Mhm.
say the reviews vary pretty wildly. I've seen everything from
Yeah.
people saying it's a perfect game to people saying it's a terrible game. People saying probably somewhere in between, which is usually where I fall, where the game is pretty
Yeah.
good. If the game is for you, it's for you, and if it's not, give it time and it'll get better. Or just, it's your
Right.
money, don't spend it.
Yeah.
From what I've seen, the combat looks really fun, and the world is a huge, expansive world. But
Hmm.
most of the negative stuff I see is that the game wasn't ready and it has bugs, which seems to kind of be like par for the course anymore these days when a game drops. It's pretty rare that a game just comes out and it's fine. Elden Ring is the only one I could think of that comes to mind. Baldur's Gate. These games come out and they're just ready. It's pretty rare. So it is the big game on the radar for a lot of folks. If you're
Yeah.
into games like Dragon's Dogma, if you've never played that, it's a great underrated like D&D fantasy RPG. I think it's a Korean game. It's so good. But the people kind of equate this game to that, and if it's anything like that, I'll probably like it. I'll wait for a sale like always. I'll give them a few months to patch out some of the bugs, and I'll probably check it out. But um, that was the big one on my radar after Ashes of Creation crashed and burned. So I don't know. I guess I'll keep playing the games I've been playing for 5-10 years until this game gets
Huh.
patched or somebody makes a great one. But just kind
Yeah.
of a wild card in this games and pop culture news here. Dad was up here for the weekend,
I was.
and we played Helldivers together. Dad had never played Helldivers before. I haven't
I'm that guy,
played
guy. Sorry. Never
what,
touched Helldivers.
what you know, and
Put it on my radar, just haven't gotten around to it.
I haven't played it in probably a year, maybe more. Me and the boys used to play it right when it first came out, when it was like a huge cultural thing. It's still very massive. People still play the crap out of it. And Dad and I played. I got a PlayStation 5 and a TV right over here, and he played on that, and I played at my PC. We probably played for like 4 hours, had a blast. Um,
Yeah.
so I mean, sometimes it's doom and gloom in the game section because it's always me, talking like a boomer, telling you how games used to be better when I was a kid. Um, and usually that's true. But I will say, games like Helldivers, it's like every once in a while they'll get an ace in the hole, and it's like, oh wow, this game's great. So
Right.
anyway, if you haven't played Helldivers, you should play Helldivers if you haven't played it yet
Yeah,
because
take it from me. I hadn't played
it's
it
so
till this
good.
past Saturday
It's
night.
so
I
good.
had a great time playing. When I got back home Sunday night, I went into PlayStation and went ahead and purchased it, and I uploaded it. So I'm going to play it when I get some time this week. So
Hmm. That's great.
fun game, definitely worth checking out. Which leads us into our extra loot section,
Hmm.
where if you have a video game that would make a great TTRPG or a CRPG, what would it be? And I think we both agree Helldivers would be a great game. Maybe not necessarily for a TTRPG, though I think it does have potential for a
Hmm.
TTRPG. Um, but definitely like a tabletop game akin to maybe like Warhammer
Hmm.
or Fallout factions,
Hmm.
where you put small forces on the board and they fight against other factions.
Yeah.
I think things like that would be neat. Lends itself to miniature painting, terrain building, things like that. I think has a lot of potential. Could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think even as like a clicks game, like a hero clicks, you could call it like
Oh yeah,
hell clicks or diver clicks or whatever, and you could just have, you got your automatons and your Illuminati and Terminid figures, and then your kind of
yeah,
your different, like, oh, this is a heavy gunner or like a flamethrower hell diver, and like you can kind of have a click for each kind of class because the game allows you to
yeah.
kind of spec using your stratagems, you can like spec into a certain role. Um,
Right.
that plays right into like a 40k or like a mini like war game. But as
Right.
far as the TTRPG, I think Dad and I were kind of talking about that too. What kind of video game or setting that doesn't have one. We've had this discussion before, but one kind of just hit me out of nowhere. Like I think Diablo would be a great one.
Diablo would be a good one.
Because like the world of Sanctuary is really fleshed out and the lore is really cool, and it's kind of like this grim, dark, like hopeless setting of humans are kind of just caught in the middle of this like eternal struggle between heaven and hell and demons and angels. And I mean, even if you're not going to be a Nephilim like in the games, or you're like this super powerful guy, like why not let you be like a town guard, or or something. There's so many times in Diablo 4 where you're running through a town and you get to the edge of town and there's like this palisade up, and there's just like this pile of demon corpses on this palisade, and there's like 5 guards, and it's like, man, I wish I could talk to that guy. And like it's just like this normal guy who's like holding his little like farming town on the edge of the world against like this like endless onslaught of like horrific things. And it's like, I'm this super powerful being, and I'm like, well, that guy's cooler than me. He's just a dude with a pike, and it's like, I can call lightning down and blow shit up, and he's just got like a spear. And it's like, I wish I could talk to that guy. Why not play as him? Why not have like a whole campaign around that town and why the demons are attacking that? And that'd be a fun. That kind of seems like a pretty like a putt. It's like a super easy tabletop game.
There's a lot of lore. There's a lot of support within the community.
Oh yeah.
And from the devs, where I think that could very easily translate into a TTRPG.
Mm-hmm. A really cool one too. Like the aesthetic of Diablo
really cool.
Is so cool. Like it's just so awesome.
There's so much lore. There could be so many source books available. So much online material that a game master could draw from.
Yeah.
That I think you could make a very enjoyable game.
I mean, Diablo's. Well, the lore is just so good. Like people kind of ignore it because the game is just kind of an action game. But I mean, the lore is like, I remember you playing Diablo 1 and 2 on the PC when I was a kid. I still remember the cover of Diablo 2. It was the skeleton guy with the hood on.
Yeah.
And it's just there's like 20, 30 years of lore in that game. And people just kind of ignore it because who cares? I'm going to get the shiny thing at the end. I don't care.
It's just a kind of an action shooter type of over the top.
Well, it's like Doom has lore too, and people just play Doom and they run in a room, blow stuff up. But it's like Doom has actually really cool lore too, So
Doom could be a TTRPG.
Dude, imagine
if there isn't already one. I can't imagine. If there is one, I'm not aware of it. Let me know in the comments if you guys are aware of one.
That would actually be kind of sick. Like what I'm thinking about is like the Doom movie. I mean, I know this is probably going to make people mad, but the Doom movie that had The Rock in it. Yeah, the reason I go to that movie is because like their little squad of soldiers had like defined roles, right? So like you can kind of think of like those as like classes where it's like, okay, we're going to this like satellite station that opened up a portal to hell, and your party has to go there, and like you can kind of work that right into like a 5e kind of compatible setting, right? Or like game system.
Starfinder. You could do it with Starfinder.
Oh, that's actually a really good point. Yeah.
Starfinder's got a great system. I actually played a career soldier in that game when we played for a few months. And I kind of patterned him a little bit after Carl Urban from Doom, where he was a career soldier. It's all he'd ever known. He kind of got a bad rap. He got framed by the military and was kind of drummed out of the service, and then he became a mercenary. So had a lot of fun with that character. But yeah, the Doom is something that could very easily translate into like a Starfinder setting or something like that, where you can play it.
Speaking of Starfinder, we brought up a game in the Starfinder universe called Afterlight, which was a while ago now, probably months and months ago now.
Yeah, it's been several months.
There was just a video I watched on YouTube. I'll drop a link to the video. I can't remember his name. I think his name is Mortismal Gaming. He's a big like tactical he did a lot of Baldur's Gate videos, For the King videos and stuff like that. He just dropped a early alpha gameplay of Starfinder Afterlight, and this game is done by Epic Tellers, which is a Kickstarter company. So people, I don't want to say they had low expectations, but they kind of understood that this was a crowd-backed project and not to hold it to like a crazy high standard. But after the gameplay came out and after the folks that I watched played it, this game looks to be incredibly high quality. It pretty much looks like a Baldur's Gate in space. They went that way, and I wasn't really clear on what kind of game they were going for with it. it is definitely a classic art, CRPG setting style game where it's like your character, you can move in and out of combat. However, when you're outside of combat, you can freely move around, talk to people, and do things. Then in combat, it's turn based. It looks very deep. The voice acting looks really, really good. So I don't really know. I know that this game has tons. I think they've already hit 1 million backed already, $1 million.
Wow. Okay.
And it's still like up for backing if you would like to. But from what I've seen, the quality is very high. So I'm very excited for that project. I remember us talking about it, and then I was waiting. I was giving it time to kind of cook before I looked back at it, and then I kind of just stumbled upon an early look of it, and it looks incredible. It looks really, really good.
Wow.
So
All right, so we'll
hope
put
that.
something down in the show notes for you guys to check.
Yeah, I'll have the YouTube video I watch. Like I said, I think his name is Mortismal Gaming. I think he's got like 500,000 subs. He does a lot of like tactical game looks, but this game looks good. So anyway,
Well, so we're going to end tonight with something that's going to be an ongoing segment. Stephen kind of sprung on me tonight, but we've talked about it in the past. But he's done a lot of work on getting together what we're going to call a TTRPG scorecard. And this is going to be based off of factual information. It's not going to be speculation. It's not going to be colored by personal judgment. This is something where we're going to look at hard numbers and interaction with the community and stuff, where we want to look at publishers like WoTC, Paizo, Darrington Press, things like that, and then kind of give them a score of like a 1 to 5 stars on how they approach things like your consumer community advocacy, content quality and quantity, things of that nature. And we're going to be drawing that from sources and from the community and what community thoughts are. And then kind of once every 3 months, we'll have a quarterly get together where we'll do our scorecard, and we'll probably do it on like the top 3, the big dogs, Wizards, Paizo, and of course, Darrington Pressings are kind of a big contender now.
yeah,
We may or may not do it, just depending on what your guys' feedback is. We may do it for some of the smaller publishers, but for now, we're going to start out with the big 3
yeah,
and see how that goes, get your feedback, and then see what your thoughts are, and then we might go from there.
yeah. I mean, there's a lot of. I mean, just to name the top 3. I mean, obviously those are the big 3 that people talk about, but we're fans of a lot of other ones. Kobold Press, Chaosium, Free League Publishing, Modifius. I mean, there's so many. Cubicle 7, who we've talked about multiple times.
Yeah.
This is not to rule anybody out or to tell you that they're not worth your time. To be honest, I even said this to Dad before we were recording. A lot of these smaller studios, I don't really consider some of them indie because they're pretty big now. Like Modifius, in my opinion, is not an indie studio anymore.
No, I wouldn't say it is.
Some of their games, in my opinion, they're doing things better than a lot of the big publishers. And a lot of that is because they're smaller and they're more nimble and they can react to feedback and make changes quicker. But also, like again, a lot of them just kind of do things in a more fun and interesting way. I think Blades in the Dark by Evil Hat is a great example of that. They are not a household name, but their TTRPG is universally loved by literally everyone on the internet that I can find. So just because we're not covering somebody, or that does not mean that they're not as good. This is kind of just a finger on the pulse check on the entire genre and the entire hobby as a whole. And the easiest way to do that is to hit the big 3. I think Darrington Press, even though they're newer on the block, I think they are one of the big 3 because just Critical Role's input into the D&D universe, and now with Daggerheart, I just think they've already put themselves up there in direct competition. So I think they're up there as well. But the last thing I wanted to say is, if we give D&D a 5 and Pathfinder a 4, or vice versa, that does not mean that we personally like or dislike one more than the other. The report card is really just our way of saying, like, hey, this time Q1 this year they had a 3, and now Q2 they've got a 4. Why is that? What did they do different? Are they advocating? Are they doing better with third-party support? Are they being more transparent with their communication? Are their source books just better quality? Are they getting them out faster?
Are they hitting their milestones on time?
Yeah, this is.
If they promise a book by the end of first quarter, did we get?
Did it happen? I mean, this is just, we want to hold, like, we've done a lot of work with, like, as far as just kind of keeping tabs on the community and on the industry as a whole. But like, this will be a way, like, on paper, we can be like, this is what we were told that was going to happen. It did not happen. This is what, like, it's just an easy way to look at something and give straight feedback that is not biased. It's just factual. This is their performance. we obviously can't hold them accountable or hold them responsible or anything like that, but we can
Right.
show you that, hey, this is, you can make up your own mind with this information. This is not,
Right.
there's no smoke and mirrors. This is the numbers, and this is what happened. Um,
Yeah.
but I encourage everyone that sees this, if you like this, do it yourself. Take down like, hey, you know what? Last year I think Wizards did a really good job. I give them a 4 out of 5, and then this year, the roadmap. I didn't really like some of the things on the roadmap. Just if you kind of keep it honest and keep them honest with yourself, you won't, because it is overwhelming the amount of content happening in the tabletop space right now. It is crazy. I mean, like, I can't even keep up, and me and my dad keep. It's our part-time job basically to keep up with it, and it's
Yeah.
hard for me. So I just need some way to kind of be like, hey, what did they say they were going to do again? Did they do it? Did we notate that? So that's what this is. It's not a us versus them, or these people are better than these people. It's just a way for us to kind of keep tabs on what was said, what was done, and how we feel about it. So
Right. And then get your feedback. We always encourage you guys to give us feedback. Let us know
please.
what you think. Do you agree with Darrington Press being in the top 3? Would you like to see somebody else there? Just
There's
let us
definitely
know your
wiggle.
thoughts.
There's wiggle room there. I mean, I think I want to be
Yeah,
fair with, like, I don't want to put up like a smaller company that just can't compete and make them look bad. However, our ratings are not against each other. The ratings are really, it's kind of
yeah.
like Wizards is
It's up to
competing.
the individual.
Yeah,
How
it's
do they
it's
perform?
competing with itself.
Are you keeping
Paizo's
it calm?
competing with itself. It's not competing against the other two, Paizo and Wizards and Darrington Press. It's just, how did they do this year?
Yeah.
How did they do this quarter versus last quarter? So
Yeah. What are they doing right? What are they doing wrong? What could they do better? So, well, we're going to leave you guys with that for this evening. We appreciate you joining with us and spending a little bit of your very valuable time with us here in the community and on the internet space. We appreciate your guys' support. Give us a like, hit that subscribe bell, share with your friends and your neighbors and your followers if you're on social media. We'd love to have more people come over and check us out. We got another subscriber today. We're up to 54. Holy crap. So check it out. We've got some things in the works. We're hoping to do a collab with another online content creator, another father and son team soon. So stay posted for that. As we get details, we'll let you guys know. But we do appreciate each and every one of you. We hope that you've enjoyed this content. And if not, let us know what we're doing wrong and what we're doing right. And we will try to make changes here and adjustments there to try to accommodate people as we can. But to quote my friend Jim over at the Old Warlock, keep your sword arm free, keep your torches lit, and we'll see you guys next time back here in the maze.
bye, everybody.
Good night, everybody.